Hey YouTube! Today in the Naughty Librarian, I am doing my end of August wrap up. Okay, so like this last bit of August kind of sucked for many reasons. One was that I had my sinus surgery, so that kind of really threw like a cog in the works here. It went fine. Like I want to give you guys a little bit of like just a recap of it because it's all very gross because it's about like your nose, but basically I had the surgery. It went fine. I realized that anesthesia makes me very nauseous because I barfed on a nurse. So that was my life that day. And the poor nurse, she was so nice to me still, but I barfed on her like immediately. Like she woke me up and it was just like, blah. And then my boyfriend was there and he is so sweet and like a Southern gentleman. Like he opens doors for people. Like we've been together for 7 years and he still opens my car door for me. He's such a sweetheart. And like, especially older women love him. Like he gives good grandson, essentially. And this nurse loved him to bits. And I'm just like sitting there all groggily and she's just talking to my boyfriend nonstop. Saying, oh, you're just the sweetest. And she gave him juice. She gave him a juice box. So that was my surgery day. And then I just wanted to be in bed basically because the antibiotics I had to take made me super nauseous. And they gave me painkillers, which I tried to take a couple times, and that, oh my gosh, painkillers are gnarly and they made me so nauseous. Like I was so nauseous that I was like, fuck it, I'd rather be in pain than want to throw up. So I just didn't take any pain medicine the whole time, like a Viking. I just toughed it out. And honestly, I wasn't so bad, but then again, me personally, I'm not like the best judge of that. I, in general, have a very high pain threshold, so I don't know if I'm the best judge of this, but for me at least, it didn't really bother me too much. I think the most painful part was my septum, because I had a whole bunch of stuff done in here, like overhaul. Lots of really long words, but essentially they cleaned out all of the damaged stuff in my sinuses, and then they like expanded parts of them so they're bigger, so they like cut out like little pieces of stuff, and then I had a deviated septum, so they like corrected it, and they sewed like a splint inside of my nose, which I thought was like that big, because when I looked, like you can look up your nose in the mirror and you could see it, and I thought they were gonna be like this big. They weren't. They were like that big when they came out. I was like, oh my gosh. Anyway, so yeah, my recovery, I just laid in bed for like a week and didn't talk to anybody. I just watched like all of the Netflix I could. Like I was like a creepy hermit for a week, and like it was what I kind of needed because I've been having such a rough reading month. Like I've just been reading books I'm not into, and I didn't want to read. I just wanted to watch something for once. And like if you know me, I am so hard to get to watch things. Like I have no patience for things that I'm watching. So it was saying something that I like just wanted to binge watch things. And it was kind of nice. It was just like a staycation where I couldn't breathe. I could not breathe out of my nose for like a week. It was like having like the worst head cold you could ever imagine. Like that's how stuffed up you are. So like a week after the surgery, I went back for my post-op, and that time they said you have to take a painkiller before you go because it's like intense. And I was like, okay. So I went. I had my boyfriend drive me because I didn't want to be all loopy and driving. So she like cuts the stitch, which hurt like a bitch. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is with painkillers. And then she pulled out the splints, and that's when I found out they're like that big, and I was like, oh. And then and then she has like this stick that's like this long, and like another stick that long, and she puts them in there, and she's like cleaning it. It's so gross. I'm not gonna get into more detail than that. Besides, I looked over at my boyfriend at one point, and he was just like white. He was just like, she sucked out your brain. Just terrified. So that was that. But after she did that, it was so cool because like I breathed in, and for the first time I could breathe out of my nose. Like I haven't been able to breathe out of the left side of my nose in almost a year. So it was like, whoa, it's cold. Like the air felt cold hitting my sinuses because it hasn't touched it in so long. But it was a cool experience. And now I'm a few days after that, and like I can still breathe out of both sides of my nose, so it's like crazy because I'm like, how this is how people live? What? So yes, everything's going well. I'm glad I did the surgery. It only sucked for like maybe a day or two, and then it was just like not being able to breathe out of my nose. So it wasn't so bad really. I just kind of had a headache more than anything. but yeah, I recommend. Well, I don't recommend needing surgery, but like, the results are awesome. So like I was saying, I didn't really get a lot of reading done. I did read 2 books though, and I read these 2 books, which are not on my TBR list at all, because I just wanted to read something like I knew 100% I was gonna like without question. I needed to treat myself. Before I get into the books I read, I want to also talk to you about this one cool thing, because this video is actually sponsored by this new app called Busins, and they're really, really, really cool. I genuinely like the app a lot. It's kind of like Goodreads, but better. What I mean by that is that you can find books you're reading, and you can set it up as currently reading, want to read, already read. You can set them in those categories and have all your bookshelves. And the cool thing about Byzans, though, is that it's actually chat rooms. So basically, if you click on currently reading on your book, you get sent into this chat room with all the other people who are reading the book at the same time as you. So you get to chat with people in real time who are all reading the same book. And I know this is something that you guys totally want, because I've gotten a lot of messages saying, oh man, I wish I had people who read the same books I do. I wish I had a book club. And then Byzans like reached out to me, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is the app for everybody. And it's actually really cool. I think it's a cool app. It's brand new, so not a lot of people are on it yet. That's why I'm telling you guys about it. You should go check it out. Down in the description below, I'll have the download links. It's completely free. And it's really cool because you can just chat with people who like the same books as you. And you can chat with people who are currently reading the same book as you. And it's just fun. Oh, and also they have spoiler and non-spoiler sections, which I know is important too. So it's actually kind of a fun app. I'm on there. I'm Amanda Venture. So if you find me, let's chat about books. It's gonna be super cool. Okay, now let's talk about the books I actually read this month. Category is historical romance, and I read 2 of them. I mean, really, is anyone surprised that I read The Wallflower Rager by Tessa Dare the moment it came out? Like, is anyone surprised, really? Like, have you met me? This was one of my most anticipated reads of the year, and I've been saying that about a lot of books and then being very disappointed. So, that being said, I started this one knowing, I'm like, Tessa Dare can't do me wrong. Like, she can't. I wouldn't be able to survive. And you know what? She didn't do me wrong. I gave it 5 stars. I loved it. Of course I did. It's got everything I wanted. It's just, this is a treat yourself book if there ever was one. This is book 3 of the Girl Meets Duke series. So now we're following Penny, one of those 4 lady friends, and she is the one who's like this vegetarian animal rescuer person. And her vegetarian items, like, I feel very seen and judged. Because as a vegetarian myself, like, I would eat some of the things that she makes, and everyone who eats them, they're like, blah, this is garbage. So I was like, yeah, that's about right. And then her love interest is Gabriel, who's kind of like a grumpy dude next door. And I was like, ooh, I love grumps. Like, I love grumpy dudes. I don't like cruel dudes. There's a difference here. In a hero, especially in Tessa Dare heroes, I see this a lot, where the character is grumpy. Okay, they're not like fun to be around, but they're not mean. There's a difference here, because there's a lot of characters who they say, oh, he's like grumpy, but I'm like, no, he's actively being an asshole to this lady. Like, he's not just grumpy, he's actually cruel. You know, like, there's a distinction here, and she never goes into the cruel category. These are just like general grumps. And Gabriel's like actually kind of a good dude. He's kind of a self-made man. He is basically a house flipper, which is odd. I'm sure they did that in the Regency era, but that's like something I see much more modern day. But I say that a lot about Tessa Dare, that you could take these books and like change some details, and they also work modern era. That's just probably why I like them so much. Well, anyway, he's a house flipper, and he bought the house next door to Penny. And they're having some disagreements because Penny has all these wild animals everywhere. And he's just like, lady, like, I can't show this house when you have a goat in your yard. It's weird. She's like, have you met my goat? She's wonderful. So there's a little bit of bickering there. But here's the thing about Gabe. Okay, this is like a romance hero trope where he basically is like, I know things of value when I see them. It's one of those things, and he meets Penny, and he always thinks she has all this value about her, and that's kind of her hang-up, where she feels very undervalued and almost forgotten and maybe even worthless at times. She kind of has low self-esteem for that aspect. And so it like, yeah, you get what I'm getting at here, the relationship. And also there's a bunch of adorable animals. Like, could you want more? They have a dog who has no like hind legs, so he has a little wheelchair. It's a little terrier with a wheelchair. And then there's this parrot. Okay, so Penny, she just adopted a parrot in this book that belonged to this little old lady, and she gets it and she realizes the parrot was raised in a brothel, so it says crazy stuff. Also, you get cameos from all of our past characters, and it's adorable. I love all their friendships. I really like Ash and Chase, the other two male heroes, because now they have this kind of friendship, but they're very, like, awkward characters. Well, not awkward. They're just, like, their bromance is weird because they're very different people. And now Gabe is getting thrown into the mix, so it's just, like, three very different dudes, all close proximity, having this bromance, and, like, it works. It's, like, Odd Couple times 3, and I kind of really like it. Also, of course, it's Tessa Dare. It's going to be laugh out loud hilarious. Like, I laughed out loud so many times throughout this book. It's so funny. There's, like, so many odd situations, especially because they have so many animals all the time. Yeah, they're just basically, it's set up to be hilarious. Oh, hey, Amanda, how's the smut? I'm glad you asked. Let me tell you. This one in particular is pretty spicy. So, slightest tiny spoiler, Penny does meet Gabe for the first time when he just got out of a bathtub, so he's just wearing a towel, and she's like, oh my gosh, abs. So, it's kind of just like Penny going, I didn't know I liked that, but I like it a lot. And she just very much, like, finds him so attractive. And I thought, like, I just like the fact that she is, like, open enough with her own story that she's just like, I know what I like, and I like that. So she's just funny and very honest. And I don't see that a lot in romance heroines. They always go, oh, he's so handsome and he's strong. But they never have someone just, like, oogling a dude. And, like, I kind of like that Penny just oogled him. So obviously there's this big attraction between them, and that kind of bubbles over into stuff. But there was so much consent in this that it was awesome. Gabriel's very much just like, you need to say yes. You need to tell me yes. And so there's a lot of consent actively being made here. They have the spicy bits. Ooh, like, I would say, like, out of 5 flames of spiciness, like, I'll give it like a 4. It's like a 4 flame out of 5. So it's pretty spicy, enough smut in here that it's like, ooh, that's a bit of smut. Side note, though, I did talk a lot about Penny kind of feeling a little worthless and undervalued, and I talked a little bit about consent being a big issue in this. And I do want to put in a content warning because I haven't seen anyone else bring this up yet, but they do talk about childhood sexual abuse in here. And I haven't seen anyone else bring that up. So I just want to throw it out there that that is discussed in the book. Like, you kind of catch on immediately. You're like, oh, there's going to be something bad. Like, it's like a throwaway line. You're like, oh no. And then later on in the book, they do get into it. So, now you know. But they handle it very well, and I appreciated that they explored that dynamic and allowed this woman to, you know, take back her sexuality on her terms. So I do really appreciate that, and I thought it was handled well. And I just loved it. Like I'm not gonna love it. Like, it's Tessa Dare. Like, I'm at least gonna like it. There's no way I'm gonna hate a Tessa Dare book. But yeah, I loved it. I gave it 5 stars. I just read it because I knew I was gonna like it. Like, that's what I was doing. I was treating myself. The other historical romance I read was Brazen and the Beast by Sarah MacLean. This is book 2 of the Bare Knuckle Bastard series, and I really, really wanted to read it because the first historical romance I ever read was the previous book of this series, which was Wiccan the Wallflower. So I liked that book, so I was like, okay, like, let's see what else is going on here. And I picked this one up because I'm like, I'm fairly certain I'm gonna like this. And I was correct. I gave it 5 stars. I loved it. It was really good. And Sarah MacLean is different than Tessa Dare. And I know, obviously, that's like a kind of a duh statement, but where I really like her books too, like, she hasn't been perfect for me. There's one book of hers that I really didn't like, but overall, like, I do like her books. But she's not going for laughs, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like Tessa Dare, they're definite rom-coms. And this one, I don't think they're rom-coms. I don't think they're written to be comedies, but they're not necessarily written to be like a juicy, soapy drama either. They're just kind of like, this is a story, you know? So they're definitely more on the dramatic side, I'd say, but not so dramatic that it's a soap opera. This one is about Hattie and Wit, aka Beast. Beast is part of the Bare Knuckle Bastards, and they kind of run Covenant Garden, which is like, you know, the criminally part of town, and they own like a gambling hall, and they run the streets. And then Hattie is kind of like a self-made man's daughter. He was given a title as an earl, so she's technically an earl's daughter. But she also grew up on the docks around boats. So like she knows some stuff. This starts on Hattie's birthday when she turns 29, and she's like, "It's the year, Hattie. I'm getting what I want." And I was like, yeah, Hattie, you get what you want. Like, I was rooting for her. She is a girl on a mission, and she's like, I'm getting Hattie's this year. Let me tell you about how, like, she meets Wit. Okay, so, she's getting into a carriage, and she opens the door with her best friend, and she's like, there's a dude in there, and it's just an unconscious Wit tied up. And she's like, fuck it, let's go! So, meet cute? I don't know. And the thing is with Hattie and Wit, their business interests seem to be intertwining. Because, like I said, she grew up on the docks around boats. Her dad owns a shipping company. The Bare Knuckle Bastards are smugglers. So their business enterprises overlap a bit, and they kind of become rivals. Oh wait, did I say rivals? I meant sexy rivals. There's a lot of kind of one-upmanship shit here. It's like, oh, you bought all the boats? Well, I hired all the crews, so good luck with your empty boats. Those type of things, you know? Kind of like corporate espionage, but with boats. Now, their relationship is one I've seen a lot. It's basically, you know, tortured hero with a dark past who just wants to protect you. And then Hattie's just like, I am a strong-willed woman and I get what I want. We've seen it a million times, but like, it works for a reason, okay? Because when you do it well, it comes out very well. And in this case, I think it did come out really well. I think their personalities suited each other. So I was totally rooting for their relationship, even though sometimes, you know, you want to smack them upside the head and say, stop being stupid and kiss, like, you know? But they do plenty of kissing. Oh, hey, how's the smut? Let me tell you. So it's very steamy too. I would say not as smutty as Wallflower Wager. This one, like, it's very steamy. I'll give it like a 3 out of 5 on the steamy side. Well, no, I don't know. There's just not a lot of like very, very explicit scenes. I'll give it a 4. I'm already raising it up now that I'm rethinking it. I'm like, okay, you get the 4. It's another steamy book, okay? I read Smutty Delights this month and I am enjoying them. When I have a book that features boats, I'm always so excited because I'm like, oh, one of them's going to be really good at tying knots and someone's going to get tied up. Like, that's what I'm waiting for the whole book. Like, I get so excited. And this one, I was like, oh, Hattie knows how to tie some knots. And like, I finally got to that scene and I was like, yes, someone's getting tied up to this boat. It's my own thing that I get very excited about when I have it in a romance. I don't know why. It's not like I have this like weird thing for like getting tied up, but it's just, I like it when it has boats and nautical stuff, because I'm like, someone's getting tied up. You know, it's like when the beat's about to drop in a dubstep song, you're like, oh, it's coming. Anyway, so that happens, and I was so excited. I was like, they did it. I was waiting the whole book, and they finally did it. So it worked for me on a lot of levels. And as dramatic as the series is, you know, I always want laughs. I genuinely really like it. I think they are very well paced. I feel like the story structure is solid. Like, I think they're just well told stories. So do I recommend this? Yes, I do. But if you're looking for like a laugh out loud comedy, this probably isn't the book for you. But still really well done. Like, I appreciate this series. Like, I want to continue on. There's another book coming out next year. I don't know when. Hopefully soon, because I don't want to wait that long. But I absolutely love this one. I recommend. I thought it was really fun. It's worth mentioning that I did make a good dent in The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie, because I read like 70% of it in August, so I'm not going to finish it this month, so I can't review it yet. But this was kind of a fun book because I'm doing a collab with Leanna from Leanna's Library. We're going to be doing collab videos coming out a little later in September. They're going to be really fun. Basically, here's the thing. We like a lot of the same books. But then there's a lot of books that are very different that she really loves, and then books I really love, and they don't interlap at all. So Leanna really likes grimdark fantasy, and I really like rom-coms. And I'm like, hey, how about we trade? So we're doing a book, we're reading outside of our comfort zones, and I'm reading grimdark fantasy, which is The Blade itself. And I'm having fun with it. I don't want to go too far into it because we are going to do a video, like, discussing it later on. But I'm having fun reading it. It's definitely very grimdark. Oh my gosh. Like, it's funny sometimes, but I think the joke is, that was fucked up, right? Like, could you believe? Like, I think that's the joke. It's like, wow, you didn't think it was gonna be that fucked up, did you? It was that fucked up. And you feel weird for laughing. I'm like, oh, I shouldn't laugh about that. Like, someone just got murdered horribly. I mean, the joke is like, yeah, that was horrible, wasn't it? So, I don't really know how to feel right now. Especially because I was reading, like, fluffy rom-coms and then this, and it was twisting my brain in weird places. Because I'm like, they're very, very different worlds. But I don't know how to feel yet. I'm not done with it. I'm not done with it. I don't have to review it. But I did make a good dent in it. So I just want to give it honorable mention. And that's it. That was all of my reading. I didn't really read a lot this second half of the month. I just was like having some me time. I just wanted to take a break. You know, I was recovering from surgery. I didn't want to read anything. I just wanted to have a break from everything, and I did. I just sat there alone in bed watching Netflix, and it sounds like sad, but like it's exactly what I needed to like restart my engine, because I just need to be alone and watch like every episode of Mindhunter that ever existed. By the way, Mindhunter, very good. I really liked it a lot. I watched all of the episodes, so that's like, I don't even know how many episodes that is, like 19 episodes of it, and they're hour-long episodes. Watched a lot of it. Anyway, let me know in the comments down below, what are you currently reading right now? I was reading fluffy rom-coms. Are you in the mood for fluffy rom-coms? I've been like disappointed consistently in a lot of fantasy picks this year. So I'm just like leaning more and more towards this, like, just give me fluffy rom-coms. Like, even when they're bad, they're not like so bad. So I've just been doing things that are for me. Or, you know what? Hey, question 2. What's like a book that's just like me time? Like, what book do you just read because you're like, I need to treat myself? Is your treat yourself book? Also, don't forget to download Busins. It's actually a really cool app. I'm on there. Check me out. I'm Amanda Venture. You can chat about books with people, so it's perfect for someone who has messaged me and said like, oh man, I wish I knew people reading the same books as me. Boom, you have an app for it now. If you like this video, make sure you give it a like. And if you want to see more videos, make sure you subscribe. And I'll see you guys soon. Bye!